Just as a disclaimer, we want you to know that some of the movies that we will be reviewing were shot in a different time and era where people of race and sex were not treated equally. We understand this and hope you do too. The movies or anything that happened on the sets are not the views of this podcast or what this show is intended to be all about.
Exactly. And we want to give due diligence in presenting the movie and not the views of the cast or directors or anyone involved. But we also feel it's necessary to let the audience know some of the background information to get a feel for what was happening at the time of shooting the film. Again, we hope you understand that we do not agree with everything that went on, and we just want to give out the information. And with that being said, hope you enjoy the show.
The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them.
There's something out there, isn't there?
You just see cuts happen.
What did that, Lieutenant?
I don't know.
What's the coroner got to say? He's in the jar and puking since he saw it.
They're gonna kill me for sure.
Did you do it?
There was somebody else there.
He was locked in a room with a girl who went in alive and came out in a rubber bag.
No one knows where it came from or who it will visit next.
Nancy? There's something wrong with you. You're imagining things.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Do you believe in the boogeyman?
No.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
She's the only one who can stop it. If she fails,
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
no one will survive. From Wes Craven, director of The Hills Have Eyes and Last House on the Left, a new masterpiece in fantasy terror, Nightmare on Elm Street.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema, episode number 23, where we'll be discussing A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Back to horror, we've swung around.
Well, it's kind of like our first horror movie because...
That's true, yeah.
Hitchcock was kind of a thriller.
Yeah,
Psycho.
some people consider it a horror.
Right. So I'm your host, Jimbo, along with my co-host...
Terrence.
Yep, Terrence is back. No special guest this episode, so here we go. Terrence.
All right.
Question of the day. Yeah, you thought you was going to get away with it, didn't you? The question I have for you today is, give me your top three, or who do you think the top three horror icons are of all time?
Horror icons. Oof. Okay.
I'm talking strictly characters, not...
No, of course.
Okay.
I'm going to start off with Frankenstein's monster. Just because there's so many iterations of it. He's very iconic. And I think that's like a timeless monster that you'll always see no matter what. And there'll always be movies of him.
And different variations of
exactly.
him.
I think the most recent one that I've seen personally is in Penny Dreadful.
Right.
Which was a really cool rendition of Frankenstein and his monster. Second, I would have to say... Let's go with Jason, actually. Just because Jason is another... Of like sort of modern horror, he would be... He has, I think, the most movies. He has a lot of movies, basically. And I think there will always be Jason movies. I think was it last year that there was a new Jason movie, or was that this year?
I think it's been a couple
has
of years ago. Yeah.
Okay. All I know is, that there has been a recent rendition of Jason. And I feel like there always will be. And everybody, when you make the shh, 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 everybody knows what you're talking about, right? So that would be number 2. And number 3 for iconic horror, let's go with... thinking of a third one.
Well, I'm going to have to throw in Dracula.
Yeah,
just because,
that's a good one.
Because
Yeah.
I think he might be number one, just because of all the films that have come out with him since the original.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, you have Nosferatu.
Yep.
You have, Dracula. You have Bram Stoker's Dracula. You have
Yep.
Dracula 80. You have Dracula, 2020 or whatever they came out.
The story of Dracula,
Right.
which was pretty
So
fun.
there's just so many versions of him. I think
And he even appears in other lore, like Van Helsing.
Right.
He appears in. And
Well, so is Frankenstein's monster too.
That's
so,
true, yeah.
So I think with the when you think iconic horror characters, to me, I'm always going back to the Universal monsters.
Absolutely.
Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman. Mummy,
yeah.
the creature
I
from the
think-
Black Lagoon, which is probably one of my favorites.
I think some of those. It's been a while since they've made a reappearance, and if you talk to certain people, they won't know what you're talking about. Like,
Right.
yeah, I know what you're talking about when you talk about Universal monsters, but if I take let's say a kid right now and like some
Maybe
random
the
15-year-old,
millennial?
yeah, actually it would be Gen Z. Like millennials should know. Maybe the younger ones won't, and they should.
Kyle,
But,
you listening? No, but Kyle
I
knows.
think he's
I've-
only was he 2 years younger than me?
He's like 24 or 25, but I know he knows what we're talking about
Yeah.
because he has them on his phone. I've seen them. So
Nice. But I feel like if you took like anyone from the last generation, then you definitely not kids, but like teenagers or something like you took a teenager now and be like, hey, do you know who Universal's monsters are? They'd be like, I have no idea. But if you'd be like, you know who Jason is, right? Yeah, they'll probably know who
Right.
Jason is.
Which is another reason why coming this October, we're planning on to do around the whole month of October the Universal Monster Stories, plus a regular episode each week. So that way you're getting, the iconic monsters of yesteryear to
Yep.
introduce them to a new generation. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into this episode of Nightmare on Elm Street. Terrence,
All
take
right,
her
let's
away.
do this. So, Nightmare on Elm Street, its release date was November 16th, 1984. It had a budget of $1.8 million, estimated. Its gross in the USA was $25.5 million. It's a lot of money for a horror, if you ask
Especially
me.
in 1984.
Absolutely, yes. Its director was Wes Craven. He's done a handful of. It's been a while since I've seen his name. I completely forgot.
Well, he just died last year, the year
That's
before.
true.
Remember, so.
Yeah. Technological specs. Its runtime is an hour and 31 minutes with sound mix mono, full color. Aspect ratio is 1.85 by 1, and its camera Aeroflex 35 BL2 and Aeroflex 35.3. Its laboratory. This was edited in Precision Labs in New York. Here, USA, right? Film length, 2,502 meters. Its negative format was 35 millimeters. Cinematographic process, spherical. Printed film format is 35 millimeters. And now for the fun part, the awards. So,
Dun, dun, dun.
we're going to start off with the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Film, 2007.
Did you ever find out if that still goes on?
Because
I'd like to watch 'em.
You know what? I need to look into that and then probably actually because we've seen this particular
But
award
it's
set.
kind of like stops like 2007, 2009. I haven't seen anything.
That's true.
You know what
but
I
then
mean?
again, we're only looking at older movies.
True.
And so they probably only dig up from older movies for a certain time. Like I'm pretty sure if you looked up like some early 2000s, they might appear today if this award series is still around. So we'll have to look into that.
Yeah, but that was in 2007.
Yes, this was 2007.
So, and it's an older movie. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? So I don't
No,
know.
I get you.
Yeah.
So we'll look into that. So they were nominated for the Saturn Award of Best DVD Classical Film Release. That would be, so the release of just this movie. I'm surprised it's not in a set because everything else we've seen
I'm
before
sure there's-
was released in a
Right.
set, right? Then we have the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films, 1985. They were nominated for Best Horror Film, and they were also nominated, for Best Performance by a Younger Actor, Zu Garcia. How do you say that first name?
I don't know. I got it in my notes. I was like, I want to see how Terrence says it before I go. Maybe Jesu.
Like I feel like the J might be silent.
Right. I mean,
Sue
maybe.
Garcia? Anyway, then we have the Arvorizo Fantastic Film Festival, 1985. Winner, Critics Award, Wes Craven. Winner, special mention, Heather Langenkamp for acting. Then, Young Artist Award, 1985. They were nominated for Young Artist Award, the Best Young Actress in Motion Picture, Musical, Comedy, Adventure, or Drama, Heather Langenkamp. Got myself all tongue-tied here.
You know what? Have we not seen the schmooze? The schmooze didn't make
No
an appearance.
schmooze for this one. No schmooze. And then finally, we have nominated for Best Young Artist Award, Best Young Supporting Actor in a Motion Picture, once again, music, comedy, adventure, or drama, Johnny Depp. And so, if you're looking through this, they only won the awards within the Avria's Fantastic Film Festival. Everything else was just nominations,
right?
Which is interesting because, like, you talk to anybody who's a horror connoisseur, right? And 9 times out of 10, they've seen this movie, they enjoyed this movie, but it didn't win anything.
But you got to remember, this came out in 1984, and by this time, I know there was at least 3 Friday the 13ths already out. They might have even started their 4th one this year.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe it was oversaturated, overloaded with the horror genre in the movies.
When was the first Halloween?
I want to say 78, 70,
So then
somewhere around
there might have even been another Halloween movie around
Well, at
that
least,
time.
yeah.
So I can see how, oversaturation of, like, horror movies. Because I know, like, the 80s was that prime
Slasher.
time for, like, just slashers, action films that were just, it's like, over-the-top, super, like, just ridiculously gory.
Right. Well, speaking of that, you know how it was always slasher films and all that. But
Yeah.
I seen a thing for American Horror Story this year. It's AHS 84. And the
Really?
preview is them going to a camp. And you see, I was like,
man.
it's going to be one of them shows where it's just a slasher fest. You know what I mean? It's going to be brutal.
All right, so that is the award. So I guess now talking about it, it's not surprising that they only won sort of like one award because there's a lot going on, right?
Well, I don't even know if we haven't got to them yet, so I don't even know if Halloween and Friday the 13th or any of them won either.
That's true. Well, like I said, it was in a time of a lot of things that were over the top and stuff.
Right.
And that was also when Hollywood really started picking up.
Well, do you want my honest opinion right here?
Yeah.
I don't think it was that good of a movie.
Yeah.
How about that? Just because for the fact I just got done watching it again.
Yeah.
And the Freddy that you see in this movie, the horror icon in this movie, is not the Freddy that appears in the sequel.
That's true.
Because he's not his cheeky, witty self.
That's true. Yeah.
He doesn't have a lot of screen time. He doesn't have a lot of speaking parts in this. And starting in Freddy's Revenge, I think episode 2 is where he becomes that cheeky, haha, pulling jokes and all that. So I think for me that was a little bit of a letdown after seeing the other movies too. You know what I mean? So we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Though, so.
All right. So now the synopsis: the spirit of a slain Let me just start that over. All right. The spirit of a slain janitor who wears a green and red sweater, a fedora, and a glove with blades on the fingers wreaks havoc on a group of teenagers during their dreams whose parents are the ones that kill them.
Bum, bum, bum. So we'll go ahead and jump into the cast.
Yeah.
You had John Saxon play Lieutenant Thompson. Ronnie Blakely played Marge Thompson. Heather Langenkamp, Nancy Thompson. Jesus Garcia played Ron Lane. Sorry, Sue or Jesu. It's JSU Garcia. So if we mispronounce wrong, we're sorry. Amanda Weiss played Tina Gray. Johnny Depp, in his first role, played Glenn Lance.
Was this his first role?
Was his first role.
Oh, snap.
Charles Fleischer played Dr. King. Joseph Whipp, Sergeant Parker. Robert England as Fred Krueger. And a little interesting fact before we get too further, this is the only movie that he's known as billed as Fred Krueger, not Freddy Krueger. Lynn Shay was the teacher. Joe Unger, Sergeant Garcia. Mimi Craven, which was Wes Craven's wife at the time, played the nurse. Jack Shea played the minister. Ed Call played Mr. Lance, and Sandy Lipton as Mrs. Lance.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that besides for Johnny Depp and
Robert England, maybe.
Not even who. I mean, I guess I'd have to know what he was in, but I really don't recognize any of the actor names.
Nope.
At all. Like, I don't know.
And you wouldn't even know Johnny Depp if you didn't know for everything that he's done since. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I just think that's very interesting that, like, if this was anybody's first role besides Johnny Depp, I feel like they really didn't.
Well, John Saxon, the chief, I've seen him in something, but I can't put my
maybe
finger on
smaller
it.
roles in smaller movies, but nothing big, right? Because I don't recognize anything.
So I went ahead and went out on a limb here, and we went ahead and I wanted to talk about the biography. I chose Wes Craven.
All right.
Just because, you got to give props to the directors every once in a while.
Of course.
So he was born August 2nd, 1939 in Cleveland, Ohio. And he died August 30th, 2015. So it's been several years ago now.
Okay, yeah.
It just seems like time flies, man.
It really does.
He died at 76 in Los Angeles, California. He's known for his Nightmare on Elm Street movies as well as his Scream movies and many others. He has an ongoing joke feud with Sam Raimi in their movies.
Huh.
The Elm Street location was located in Potsdam, New York, a small town just south of the Canadian border. Craven was a humanities professor at Clarkson College, also in Potsdam.
Huh.
Rumored to have named his on-screen horror creation Freddy Krueger for a boy who used to bully him in high school. I was like, how would you like to be that guy? How much royalties?
I know, right?
He was set to direct Superman 4,
Really?
The Quest for Peace in 1987, but was replaced after creative differences with star Christopher Reeve.
Oh, wow.
I did not know that.
I mean, that's actually pretty big to change a whole director because your main build actor does not like the creative decisions. But I guess it wouldn't be the first time that there were changes made because the actor didn't like the direction the character was going.
Right.
Now, 9 times out of 10, usually they replace the actor. But at that point, he was submitted as Superman. Everybody knows Christopher Reeves is Superman, so it's
Always will be Superman.
Exactly,
Okay.
right? So, they had to change the director.
We'll talk about this a little bit later, but Freddy Krueger's appearance, especially the dirty clothes and his hat, was inspired by a hobo who Craven saw staring at him through his window one day when he was age 10.
Oh, wow.
And
That
here's
must have
some
really stuck in his memory.
Right. It scared him. Here's some quotes from him. Horror films don't create fear, they release it.
Interesting.
And I like to address the fears of my culture. I believe it's good to face the enemy, for the enemy is fear. If I were interested in reality, I'd be making documentaries.
He has a point.
Yeah, right. And the horrors of retirement, these are scarier than any movie I could dream up. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's interesting how there are people who just are made to always work, and they're like, I don't know what I'll do after retire. There's a guy I work with. He's in his late 60s, and he's like, I'm set to retire soon, but I think I just might keep working because I don't know what I'll do.
Right. A lot of people do that. They just keep working because what else are they going to do? Yeah. And I read a statistic one time that once you retire, that your life expectancy is only like 6 months to a year after that, because you're so used to getting up, going and doing all these things that you don't have a schedule to do anything. So
I'll just be on more podcasts.
I'll just be sleeping. So, I went ahead and these are actors that tried out for casting roles that didn't get the part. So for the role of Nancy Thompson, who is our main heroine of this story, Jennifer Grey.
Okay.
Demi Moore, Courtney Cox, Tracy Gold, and Claudia Wells. So there's some
names I recognize.
Right. For the role of Glenn, Charlie Sheen. He was actually really considered for it, but he wanted more money than they were.
That makes sense. Yeah.
John Cusack, Brad Pitt, Kiefer Sutherland, Nicolas Cage, and C. Thomas Howell.
I feel like anything with Nicolas. Like, I think this would be a movie for Nicolas Cage to be in.
I think he could play Freddy.
Yeah, I know, right?
The role for Rod, Ralph Macchio. Sweep the leg, kid. And Darren Dalton. And then Freddy, before they cast Robert Englund or whatever, Craven wanted to tried several stuntmen, but he realized he needed an actor. But the first time you see Freddy, it is actually the special effects man, Charles Bacardinacia, because he was the only one that knew how to put the glove on and insert the blades of the glove.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And then also played in the movie by the special effects designer Jim Doyle for the coming through the wall above Nancy's bed. You remember where it stretches through? Yeah. It's actually the stuntman or special designer effect Jim Doyle. So I thought that was interesting that
here's a question, though. Okay, so as far as the people who tried out for it, you think it would have been a better movie had they built these better actors?
Well, but then again, they weren't really better actors back then. That's true, a lot of them. That's their first, that I can think of.
Yeah,
like Courtney Cox. She really doesn't pop into my head till Friends and Scream.
Yeah.
Jennifer Grey. She was in a couple of those '80s movies, but I think they were later on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's always hard to say what it would have been if it was somebody else.
But I think this one's more interesting just because it.
I mean, Charlie Sheen as Rob. I mean, I could see that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just depends. based upon.
I just thought that was an interesting thought. With
Well,
this
Demi
one
Moore.
more than the other ones, because obviously the other movies are big hits that won a bunch of awards and stuff. But like this one is, a hit and miss with a lot of people. So I was just wondering, like, I wonder if a different build cast would have changed anything, or is just the way it's written, it's always going to be what it was. Kind
Well,
of thing.
I think the only thing I think it would have changed, let's say they cast Demi Moore as Nancy and
Yeah.
they cast Charlie Sheen as her boyfriend or whatever in this
Yeah.
movie. I think the only thing that would have changed would have been in future generations or later on once they had their acting career to a certain point.
Yeah.
Then it would have been back as nostalgia, like Johnny Depp.
Okay.
You know, I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can go back, like people today that have seen Pirates of the Caribbean and all those Secret Window or whatever.
Yeah.
They see those or Willy Wonka or whatever he did.
Yeah.
Charlie, that was terrible. But you watch those and I wonder what his first movie was, or they start going back and they get to this. You
And
know
they
what I
get
mean?
to- yeah.
So that's my take on it. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about a couple of little special things in here. This was, of course, the film debut of Johnny Depp. It cost $1.8 million to produce, but it made it back in its opening weekend.
Nice.
Yep. The movie sets we have come to find out is set in the same universe as Friday the 13th, a la Freddy versus Jason. Eventually,
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you're
but
right.
we don't want to talk about that. They could have done so good with that, but
Yeah. I don't know.
yeah, it was shot in only 30 days. There was over 500 gallons of fake blood used.
I will say the 30 days, that's quite the feat. For a full length feature film to do all what it did, to do that in 30 days, that's pretty legit.
Right. It's on, of course, the 1001 movies to see before you die, as most movies are we
Okay,
cover. It was number 17 on Bravo's 100 Scariest Movie Moments as of 2004. Freddy Krueger came in at number 40 on the Heroes and Villains list. It was number 11 on Entertainment Weekly's 25 Scariest Movie of All Time.
Really?
Right. Also, like we said, this is based on a real life story. Wes Craven had read an article about, I want to say it was Suriname children
Yeah.
who had been kept up all night. And they were afraid to go to sleep because they said, we're going to die. Well, they're like, you're not going to die. So this one kid stayed up for a certain amount of time, and they finally, got him to go to
Yeah.
sleep. Well, he woke up screaming, and he died.
Oh, snap.
So this is based on a true story that he had read and clipped out the articles. I'm going to go ahead and throw in this interview with Wes Craven. I'm going to put it right here so we can get a little feel of where Wes was going with this movie and some of the stuff he talks about. So we'll put it in right here.
Well, yeah, I have a very sort of ambivalent view of myself as an artist or as a filmmaker. I mean, somebody once, when I was first starting in films in New York, says, if you want something on your gravestone and you're in the film business, I think the best thing is filmmaker. If you can honestly say that, that's all you need to say. And that I think I would like that on my gravestone, along with whatever you do, don't fall asleep. Beyond that, I don't think it's possible to, or advisable, or even smart to call yourself an artist or talk about yourself as an artist. I mean, first of all, it's a business, and to forget that or ignore it or act like it's not there is just idiotic. And secondly, it's very difficult to know what will later be judged as art. I guess what I've tried to do is I've tried to make movies where I can honestly say, I haven't seen that before. And to follow my deepest intuitions and, in some cases, literally my dreams, so that I don't feel like I'm copying something that's come before me. And to try to do things that... speak to sort of the areas outside the fences, where the wild animals are still. Because it seems to me that the things that move us historically, both personally and nationally, are those things that aren't on the grid of rationality. It's funny, having traveled now in a lot of third world countries, and I just came back from Africa, it's like you see that every civilization has its own grid of what it thinks reality is and what is proper behavior and what is civilized. And usually what happens is that sooner or later that grid is shattered, and something like World War II happens, or you wipe out the Native American population, or Spain invades South America and decimates virtually every living creature there and takes over. And then suddenly the grid is back, and we're civilized, and we're religious, and we're this and that. But there seems to be a deeper grid that I've tried to find, and that is how the engine of life really works. And I think it works a lot off of violence, like it or not, and it works off a lot off of things that are not rational and very difficult to perceive, and in some ways can only be sort of adumbrated, sort of sketched and shadow played in films and in horror films. And it's not something I'm terribly happy about. I wish the world did run so there weren't Bosnias, and there weren't Rhondas, and there weren't Selmas, but that seems to be the way it goes about its business at significant times. And to try to capture that in symbols on film and to sometimes succeed, I think, is very exciting and gratifying. Beyond that, I have no idea whether anything I've done is of any significance or not. It's like the end of Casablanca in a way. Probably most of what we do doesn't amount to a hill of beans. But it's been fun. It's been fun to be in the business and to survive. It's been fun to sit in the back of audiences and watch them scream and jump and laugh. It's always gratifying to see how smart the audiences are, because quite often my audiences are the outcasts. The kids with the long hair and blacks and Hispanics and people that society thinks discounts, and they're quite often the absolute quickest to grasp what I'm doing, much faster than the civilized critics and people that supposedly are supposed to have heads on their shoulders. So that's a good sign for civilization. I think ultimately the great civilization, which is whatever will allow us to survive, is that in the streets, in the theaters of the most popular movies, are very, very smart people, smart kids, and that's encouraging.
All right, so you can see from the words of his own mouth. There was also he tried to sell the script to a major studio, but no one wanted it. Nobody wanted it.
That's interesting, yeah. But
also, here's an interesting fact. Wes Craven helped Sean Cunningham work a few shots on Friday the 13th. Sean Cunningham returned this favor to him at the end of this movie. He did a little few shots for him. So that's just a little something here. So I figured we'd talk about a little bit about different scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we're going to talk about the Elm Street house. Then we're going to talk about Freddy himself. Then we're going to talk about the famous glove.
Okay,
so that's how we're going to break this down. Let me double check something real quick. Okay, then we'll put that in at the end. Okay, so we'll talk about the Elm Street house first and foremost.
Jump into it.
Elm Street is never said in the movie.
Good point.
I mean, it's not. You know what I mean? So the actual house used in this is in Los Angeles. The numbers 1428 has been stolen and never returned. That was on the house.
Yeah.
The homeowner of today is really sad about that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
she was
of
like,
course.
man, she can't get over it. The house door is blue in this movie. All the other sequels, the door is red.
Interesting. And that might even be for like symbolism purposes. I do know, at least in its subsequent sequels, that they did use color to sort of portray different things, as like a lot of horror movies do. They use color or background items to sort of portray different things, or to say kind of background show that certain things are happening. So I think that might just have been a creative decision.
This was actually Elm Street was actually named after a city, Elm Street in Wheaton, Illinois, where Wes Craven went to college.
Interesting.
So, I like how directors sometimes they take stuff from their past and they intertwine it. Maybe it's like a class they taught, or it's a class they were in, or it's a maybe a home address they used when they were really young and all that.
Well, that's like in and this is a far cry from like the type of movie we're talking about, but in all of Pixar movies, they have it was like a number.
Right.
And that number is from the animation studio that a lot of these animators graduated from.
And they sneak it in there just like
all the time.
Right. There's the famous staircase scene, if you remember the staircase scene where she's running up the
Yep.
stairs and her feet is like getting
Yeah.
stuck. It was actually made of Bisquick pancake mix.
Oh.
Although Wes Craven said it was made of oatmeal and glue. So, but Nancy said it was made of Bisquick or the pancake mix. So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's two entirely different things that are being claimed.
Right. So, either way, it's still going to be gross going through that.
Yeah,
story,
I know,
but it
right?
still worked in the movie. If you remember the fire scene where Freddy, Nancy's trying to trap him, and then
Yeah.
she sets him on. She goes down the thing, she squirts the gasoline on him, she throws the fire on him.
Yeah.
And then she runs upstairs, and Freddy's running after her, and then she shuts the door on him. He falls down the stairs, and then he starts going back up again.
Yeah.
That was all shot in one take.
Really?
They had
Okay.
multiple camera angles, and they shot it. And actually, the stuntman Anthony Cicidi won the best stunt of the year for that.
That's actually, yeah.
And it was all done in one take.
That's,
which is
I always appreciate sort of like takes that are longer than like a couple seconds that they all did in one take. So that's like a decently
something else we
decent
did.
length scene
Right.
that was filmed in one take, which
Right.
I always appreciate, especially with the stunt like that.
there
right?
was I think it was in Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte that where she falls down the stairs. It was filmed the same way. Remember they had it in multiple camera angles. So also the bathtub scene, if you remember where she's laying in the bathtub and
yeah.
Freddy's glove comes out.
Glove
and
comes
then
out, yeah.
she's like, "Mom," she's like, "Don't fall asleep in there, Nancy," or whatever. And
Yeah.
next thing you know, she's you see her get yanked under the water.
Yep.
That was done by having the bathtub scene in the bathroom over in a swimming pool. It was actually a swimming pool. So when she got yanked under, it was actually a swimming pool. So I thought
Okay.
that was really interesting
Yeah, that's
too.
pretty awesome.
So,
Just little tricks of the trade,
oh yeah.
special effects wise. That's always fun.
The boiler room scene, it was shot in the basement of the Lincoln Heights jail in Los Angeles, which was condemned shortly after production.
Oh wow.
Nancy's boyfriend at the time of the shooting is created with writing the Freddy nursery rhyme where the girls are jumping around.
Oh,
the
yeah,
one,
yeah.
two, Freddy's coming for you.
Okay, so funny story about that. Today, while I was at work, there was a blackout for an hour. We're just working in the dark, and I'm just throwing out like cheeky lines from a bunch of different movies. And one of those things was I walked up on a buddy and I just start like singing that song, just 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. And there's like,
"What are you doing?"
no. Then he chimed in, and then there's like two of us singing that song.
Where's your digital recorder, man? We could have plugged that right in.
Oh, I know, right? So yeah, I thought that was pretty fun.
But also the little girl that is jumping the rope.
Yeah.
She is actually the daughter of the family whose house was used for Tina's house or whatever. So
oh, that's cool.
I thought that was pretty cool that they
Yeah.
threw her in there. One thing that I found that was funny is you remember where Nancy gets the call on the phone and Freddy's like, "I'm your boyfriend now," and
Oh,
his
yeah.
tongue comes out. She actually asked to keep that prop. Out of all things, she has to keep the tongue prop.
That's funny.
We're not going to read into that, but they thought it was weird that she asked for that.
I mean, it might be just because it's hilarious.
Right. Also, one of the things is Jacques Hotkin, who was filming it,
Yeah.
he wore an eye patch over his other eye. So the only thing that he caught was through his camera lens. So he didn't get distracted by things going on around him.
Okay, yeah.
And I thought that was really good, really interesting. Amanda Weiss, who played Tina, she was passing out candy with her mom one day at a house for Halloween.
Yeah.
And she noticed there was an absurd amount of kids coming up, in Freddy costume. And she's like, "Oh, I was Tina in that movie." They're like, "Yeah, right." They didn't believe her. I was like, "Oh, that hurts."
Right.
Right. So let's go ahead and talk about. Let's see here. Let me flip this over. All right, we're going to talk about the Freddy himself, Mr. Robert Englund. So I'm going to play this video right here. This is actually how he says he turns himself into Freddy.
Do you like your movies?
Yeah, I do. I'm really proud of Part 3. I mean, I had some problems with the middle of Part 2. I thought it bogged down. I like the beginning and the end of Part 2 a lot. I think Part 1 is a minor classic already. And yeah, I think there's a need for these movies. There's there's something that the kids can. Yeah, there's something the kids can call their own. Don't you remember? Come on. Remember back to your old Reeboks, what you liked when you were 15?
Yeah,
Come on.
Not scary stuff. I hate to say this, Freddie, but I can't go and see your movies. I am too afraid.
That's all right. There's all sorts of movies we all don't see. I'm not a big fan of watching Joe Clayburgh take Valium, but there's obviously an audience for that movie too. This is a movie for someone else.
I like The World of Henry Orient.
I love The World of Henry Orient. I love that movie. Peter Sellers.
How do you get ready to be Freddie?
Ready to be Freddy. Ah, boy, she can turn a phrase. Well, I tell you, I sit in a chair, and Kevin Yeager, who is the handsomest makeup man in the world, does my makeup for like 4 hours, and we drink a lot of coffee, and we talk, and I get more and more ornery as they put more and more glue on me, and in about 4 hours, there's nothing left of Robert Englund. It's just this cantankerous cuss named Fred Krueger.
But how do you even look in the mirror? I mean, doesn't that frighten you? Because all I've seen of you is like a television promo for Nightmare on Elm Street. I've never forgotten it. I've seen that face once, and it's burned in my memory.
Burned. Good choice of words, Val, because that's just what happened to Fred. He's disfigured from the vigilante parents that burned him to death. Remember, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And, yeah, it's ugly. I've told this story before, but for anyone that hasn't heard it, I fell asleep in my honey wagon, my dressing room, in the making of Part 1. And, you know, most movies are worried about losing the light. We were worried about getting the light because we shoot at night. And the dawn was coming up, Hour of the Wolf, whatever that time is, just before sunrise. And the AD banged on the door of my honey wagon. I had the lights off, and I sat up and looked in the mirror, and I'd forgotten that I was in the makeup. And I had morning mouth, you know, and everything else, and I was sort of like half asleep, and there was this bald little man looking back at me. It seared itself into my brain, that image. Yeah, I've scared myself.
So, like I said earlier, Freddy himself, he only has under 7 minutes of screen time.
Yeah.
In this entire movie.
Which is pretty crazy.
It's crazy, you know,
because a lot of shots he's synonymous with the movie.
You think of Nightmare on Elm Street, you think Freddy Krueger.
You think of his face, but like then you really look in, like you were saying, you rewatch the first movie, and then you realize that a lot of scenes it'll be like his hand or something else, the glove, right? But you never actually see all of them except for those 7 minutes.
Well, what I'm saying, even when you do see like the hand in the water in the bathtub, or when Nancy's rolling around in the boiler room, you just see like a click, and he's gone. So that's like 2 seconds. And then you see his glove in another scene. That's 2 seconds. You know what I mean? So all that adds up. So it was originally set to be a child molester in this movie, but in the original script, but it was changed to child killer because of the they didn't want him to, you know, they didn't want to promote that, especially in Los Angeles at the time.
I get that,
so, it was originally created to be a silent killer. They weren't going to have him talk.
Oh, okay.
You know, they were just going to have him.
But I think it's like you were talking about. There's too many of those at the time.
Well, what I'm saying is that's how he was. And even if you watch the movie, he only says like 6 lines, maybe.
Couple lines, yeah.
But it wasn't until, you know, the next movie became the cheeky serial killer that that people love.
That we actually know. When you think of Freddy Krueger, you think of that version of him, and not so much the very first generation of him.
All right, Terrence, pop quiz.
Do it.
Which hand is the glove on?
Left hand.
Nope. I knew you would get it.
Here's what's funny. I was like, it's his right hand, but maybe it's a trick question, so I'll say left.
I'm over here going like this. You know what I mean? You're not paying attention. But the first time Robert Englund tried that glove on, he cut himself.
Oh, wow.
Because he was, you know, and we'll get into a little bit of what the glove was made of here in a minute. But
okay, yeah.
You remember the iconic scene where it's pretty much the first time you see Freddy, and he's like Nancy, and he's walking out down the alley or whatever, and his arms they grow out, you know, and he's like his hands scraping the thing. Those were actually puppet arms, but the guys had fishing poles. That's how they were rolling in to make them go out. I thought that was pretty cool. Also, he has an alternate voice in the trailer.
Really?
The movie trailer is an alternate voice that they were going to use, but they ended up changing it.
Now, is that the trailer that we played at the beginning of this? It is. Nice.
It took about 3 to 4 hours to get him into his makeup. And his special effects, David B. Miller, based the makeup off of burn victims' photographs he saw it in the UCLA burn care unit. So...
Yeah, doing that kind of makeup, I know it takes a while to get together, especially to do it well, which was very well done. And so I can see how it can take forever. I mean, you look into any character in any movie that is like covered in some kind of paint or whatever, it takes ages to get to.
But then again, I mean, this is 84, but like today, you would think there would be a way where they could CGI a lot of that on there now to make
still
it
looks better.
Look better.
Well, actually, it looks. You can argue that it looks. Depends on what you're doing. So, and sometimes the CGI will look better, but at other times it's just better if you do the prop and makeup, right? So you look at like a character like Mystique, right? That it looks good painted on and not so much a CGI sort of effect. But then you get any sort of like let's say monster that they might have made a costume for back in the 80s, but they'll just CGI now because they have the CGI for it. But then you also could look at what's the movie's budget. It might be just cheaper to budget in a costume or makeup versus CGI. CGI is really expensive.
But can I just say that the worst CGI I've probably ever seen in my entire life is The Rock as the Scorpion King at the end of The Mummy. That might be the worst CGI I have ever seen in my life.
Bad.
It is so bad, and I'm surprised that he got any acting after that. You know what I mean?
Oh my
it's
gosh.
terrible. Just throwing that out there.
I do like those movies.
I do too, but I'm just saying that was terrible.
That was bad.
Really
oh,
bad.
Man.
I mean, I was like, what am I watching? It looks like big old Kool-Aid Man or something. Like, no, I was
man,
like,
I know.
This is the only Nightmare on Elm Street where he doesn't have the iconic stripes on the sleeves of his sweater. They're not on the sleeves.
Yeah.
So, and Robert Englund said that he based Freddy off Nosferatu the Vampire in 1979. Loosely based. So, now we're going to talk about the famous glove.
Ooh,
because
glove.
this is like Jason's machete. This is like, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the mask that he wears.
Yeah.
This is what symbolizes Freddy. It's the glove, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you think of Freddy, you just immediately think of A, the sweater, B, the glove.
Right. So I'm going to throw this in here real quick. This is Wes Craven talking about the glove and how he came up with the idea of why he wanted to give him the glove. So take a listen to this.
It was kind of a very logical process. There were, at that time, it was Halloween, and there was, several other films that had featured unusual instruments, and I was thinking, well, okay, what will it be? Chainsaw this, or sickle, or scythe, or whatever. And I said, well, take yourself, from my academic background, I was take yourself back to the earliest phenomenon that you can. And I thought, okay, take yourself back to primal man, to mankind when he was not equipped with shields or weapons. What did he confront? And it was, tooth and claw. So I literally said, I had read an article about how the cave bears would reach around through the crevices that early man would be hiding in and hook them out with these claws. And I said, well, that's got to be buried deeply in the subconscious, that whole idea of the claw. So I simply put that onto what I thought was the most human instrument, which was the hand, which I think is the one thing that we have that no other animal has quite equaled and has led to so much of our civilization, and mix those two elements. One of the deepest fears of any critter, and certainly of human beings, is being opened up. That the skin is so thin, and it takes so very little to, spill us out into the world, and our existence literally ceases at the merest opening. So, it's important in a way in a horror film to deal with that reality, and I think that's why horror films so often go down to a slashing instrument. It is because that is the primal fear.
All right. So as you heard, the glove is based upon a bear claw.
Yep.
He wanted to go back to like primitive man, and he was, if you'll hear him in the video, talking about how primitive man
heard him already.
Right. So if a primitive man was hiding behind a tree or something, and a bear could smell him, but he couldn't necessarily reach him, what I do? He would take his hand and come around with his claws and grab him and rip him back around. So. The sparkling effect that was used for the glove because it was hooked to a car battery.
Oh,
that's how they got the sparkling effect. Yep.
That's crazy.
I'm surprised somebody didn't get electrocuted.
I know, right?
But the scraping noise was actually a steak knife under a chair. So they were just, The knives were actually tomato knives, and it was actually the case XXP10 model.
I will say, as far as the... what was the previous fact that you just read?
The steak knife.
So as far as oh my gosh, I lost where my mind was going with this.
Oh, that's all right.
I know. It's
You're getting old.
Like I had
millennial problems.
It is now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So hold on. So the previous fact was
I did the sparkling effects with the battery, and then it was the scraping noise with the steak knife under the chair.
Okay, so I remember where my thought process was going. So I'm surprised they didn't dub in the sound, and they decided to do the sound like while recording, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Or was it dubbed in?
I don't know that.
Okay, so
it might have been dubbed in.
Okay, so they might have just took steak knives under a chair and then edit in that dubbed over that sound. Okay, gotcha.
This was the same glove that was used in the sequel Freddy's Revenge, and it was also in Evil Dead 2 in 1987. Evil Dead is seen in this movie. Nancy's watching it on TV, trying to stay awake.
Yeah.
And so Sam Raimi used the glove hanging on by the door frame in that cabin as a tribute to letting him use this in the movie. So, but the sad part about this is in episode 3. The Dream Warriors.
Yeah.
Wes Craven let them borrow the glove, and they lost it.
Oh no!
They can't fight it.
They lose it though.
Well, they are saying somebody said that it's in the possession of Freddy's agent, Robert Englund's agent, but they don't know for sure.
I mean, after you get to a certain point in it, it's kind of cemented as sort of an iconic character. I wouldn't be surprised if someone took it.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I firmly believe that's probably what happened.
Right. So I'm going to throw in this here at the end. ET Online did an interview. They actually took the Heather Langenkamp who played Nancy, and they took Robert Englund who played Freddy.
Yeah.
And they took them back to the original house.
Oh, wow.
I think it's its 30th anniversary. So that was back in 2014. So I'm going to play this here. It's about 7 minutes long, but I thought it was really cool to see them. And they give a little cool little stories, you know what I mean? So take a listen to this.
Please, God.
This is God.
I'm Dave Weiner of ET Online, and we are here at the Elm Street house with none other than Robert Englund and Heather Langenkamp from the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. How does it feel to be back here?
It's strange because I'm looking at the Johnny Depp house across the street there at the same time. I imagine Johnny in the window calling like Romeo to his Juliet here in the upstairs window. I remember that night very well.
We shot so much on this very front lawn here too. That's what I remember, walking and prancing around these trees and trying to look scared.
It was the summer of the...
we did more outside than inside,
Yeah.
because the inside often was a set, so our location here was really spent outside a lot. The memories I have most are of Johnny climbing up that rose trellis and climbing in that window right there, and that was all real, and we did that here. Anything to do with the front porch and Marge getting sucked through the window, we did that here. So the memories here are actually some of my strongest. Once you get on the sound stages, you're working in such a different way. I always find on the real place, you have kind of a slower and, it's a more organic.
The house is iconic as the glove or the sweater, and I've seen them as big as 5 feet in diameter models of the home. The first one I think I saw was popsicle sticks.
Popsicle sticks,
and then
now they're constructed.
now
art
beautifully,
pieces.
done with foam and actually made, like incredible stuff.
Well, we're coming up on the 30-year anniversary of this incredible franchise.
God.
Did you ever think back in 1984 that you would be standing here 30 years later, that this would go beyond one movie, that you'd even finish the first shoot for the first film?
I think we knew we were onto something good, Heather. Towards the end there, I think all of us kind of knew we'd made a good film, but I don't think any of us, and I don't think Wes did or anybody thought that this would be the iconic franchise that it's become, and set the bar for, and certainly been imitated, which I guess is a form of flattery, just about more than any other horror film outside of, Dracula, probably.
I was such a short-range thinker in those days. I think I just was so happy to have a job, and even when they called for the sequels, even the third one and then the seventh one for me, but certainly every sequel, I was always slightly surprised that they were going to go for one more round. It never really hit me that we had this franchise until like the third movie, and then Robert was making them every year, it seemed like.
Well, I had gone to Europe to promote V, and I was there at the same time that the first Nightmare was taking off, and it actually took off bigger there than it did here, because I think New Line just released it on the East Coast originally, whereas there it was all over the country in the UK and in Great Britain, and I really could hear the jungle drums beating. I could really sense that it was something special.
Your character is now it's a modern day horror icon. That must be a bit surreal to be ranked up there with Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Wolfman.
Well, it's an honor. Anytime a gentleman such as yourself or anybody else, a journalist, puts me in the same paragraph or breath with Karloff or those gentlemen, I'm really honored, and I
But he
think,
deserves it.
Well,
He's so
what
good
it
at
is,
that
though?
job.
Well,
He was so
I think
brilliant.
I think it was a horror film for the last 20 years of the 20th century and the first 10 years of the millennium. And I also think that I reap that honor as a result of being a kind of logo for the entire experience of the entire franchise, all 8 films. All of what they've done over the years to modify and to improve the makeup and the original concept by Wes that has carried that through. That's who I owe, 99% to. I brought the sort of physicality, but that, and I dance him a little bit because he does sort of occupy this ether, this other world, this subconsciousness of his potential victims. But
let me also
it is the movies themselves that are the reason the thing is so big.
There's just not that many actors who give themselves to their character in a way that Robert has, because I think a lot of people would look over 30 years and be proud of the character they created, but Robert has actually gone so far beyond that in just the way he will be present for events so that he can satisfy the fans' desire not only to be with him and see him. He's so charming. I mean, it's a way you can hear stories about these films. That's all people want, is to feel closer.
Well, speaking of the fans and talking about the enduring nature of your character, Nancy Thompson, you made a documentary about your character.
I highly recommend.
No, I did, because, I had been traveling, following Robert basically around the world, and I just thought to myself, Robert is this icon. And so where does that put Nancy? Is she, how does she relate to this, icon? And what does that mean about America and feminism and all those big social questions that we ask about movies from time to time. And so I tried to answer those questions, and it's called I Am Nancy, because I know only a small fraction of what it must be like for Robert when I go and have to, always be talking about this character, and it's 30 years of talking about her, so I decided to put something down on
Heather also
celluloid,
an extraordinary documentary called Never Sleep Again.
Probably my favorite moment of the entire film was when you want to get something signed by Robert, because you've never had anything signed before. So you go around this convention and you find some pretty priceless items and just rip out the boxes. Rip them open.
I know, everyone laughs so hard when they see that moment in film. Actually, that was a really genuine moment at that time. I really was under the gun and I just wanted to get this Freddy doll out. And then the minute I started doing it, there was shocked reactions around me. I realized that I had just done something really terrible. So we made sure to really feature that horror of that moment of ripping open the pristine box.
You watch American Pickers, they'll tell you, don't destroy the box. When I go off, to meet the fans or to do a Q&A or to go to a film festival now, it's a huge event. It's really amazing, and it's wonderful. And it's not just that I want to get the love back or the free airline tickets. It's actually a real important demographic now that needs to be, what's the line from Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman? Respect needs to be paid.
Thank you so much for coming back home.
Loving her.
And we really appreciate it, and we congratulate you on 30 years.
Well, thank you very much. Is that the Nightmare on Elm Street windmill over there? Hi, I'm Robert Englund, a.k.a. Freddy Krueger.
And I'm Heather Langenkamp, a.k.a. Nancy Thompson.
And we're here at the original Elm Street house
for E.T. Online.
And we're back.
Yeah, we're back. So there you have it. Terrence, give me your thoughts on A Nightmare on Elm Street.
So, Nightmare on Elm Street. I would say this movie is a bit exclusive for deep horror connoisseurs just because of how iconic it is. But outside of that, I couldn't really recommend this to anybody else. And then even for horror connoisseurs, unless you find sort of value in older horror movies, it's like you were saying earlier. It's okay for what it is, and I think the sequels are funner and better. I enjoy the sequels more, particularly 2. I really like 2. But as far as the first one, I also gave it a rewatch. I guess I just wasn't into it as much. I think it was a lot scarier, and also a lot. It was seen through a different lens when I was younger. When I was a kid watching this, but watching it as an adult, I'm like, it's all right.
Right.
But I'd rather spend my time watching better older horror movies. You know?
Right. That's pretty much my thinking is when you're watching it. I guess when you're younger, it's always, because there's always monsters in your closet or under your bed.
Yeah.
And I think that was the draw of Freddy that, oh man, something can happen to me. And if I fall asleep, because you've always heard that if you fall out of your bed, you're dreaming that you're falling out of jumping out of a plane or falling off and you fall out of your bed, you die because you wake up when you hit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all that used to stick in me when I was a kid. But this movie, after giving it a rewatch, it really wasn't even that good.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And another thing, I forgot to mention this, but there was actually creative differences in the ending. If you know the ending, once she turns her back on Freddy and he goes, I'll get you, and he falls and he disappears. That's how Wes Craven wanted to end the movie. I believe it was Wes Craven that wanted to end the movie that way. Because he's like, it's over. Once you turn your back on evil or, your fear, you've conquered it.
Yeah.
But the studio or whoever wanted to set it up for sequels. So they wanted when the convertible pulls up at the end, and another fact is that when that convertible latch came down, it came down faster than anybody thought. So all those actions were like, whoa, and they kept it in there. They wanted actually Freddy driving the car, scene at the end, and then you have the red stripes and the green stripes on top of the car or whatever. So then they set that up. And then they set it up where her mom's up there. And Freddy comes through the window and drags her through the little small window.
Yeah.
So basically, they had to compromise and have them both in there.
Yep.
Because if you remember the movie, the first one, so Freddy goes to grab her and she walks. She's like, "I want all my friends back." And so she opens the door. And all her friends are back. You know what I mean? And her mom's there because her mom had died.
Yeah, exactly.
So to me, I guess I can appreciate it for what it was, but for me, it doesn't hold up. Like, especially even the death scenes, if you will, in this aren't too
crazy,
extravagant, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that you have to have a bunch of gore to enjoy it. That's
No,
like
but-
the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, when that dude comes on, knocks her on the head with that, you know what I mean, and just drags her back in there, you're like, oh man, something's
you're like, holy crap.
So a lot of that stuff that you see, I think a lot of it, the stuff that you don't see, is more scary than the stuff you see, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. I mean, that
it gets more of a reaction out of me.
Exactly, and that's the core of horror. Is when you think about it, because the biggest fear is fear of the unknown. So the less you show, the more scarier it is, because it's almost left up to the imagination to conjure up what that fear is, and it sort of becomes whatever your biggest fear you think it is, that you can, the worst possible scenario in that situation you immediately think of, right? When you leave that up to interpretation instead of, hey, let's show it and blood everywhere. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, Robert Englund went on the record saying that his favorite kill scene that he's done out of all of them is the one where the guy has the hearing aids, and he messes with them and blows his head off. For me, my personal favorite, it's weird that you have a favorite.
I know, right?
But it's the one where they're in, I think they're in that mental hospital, and then he just takes and cuts the veins out of the guy, and he uses him like a puppet and makes him jump out the window.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, because you don't see anything. You just see him walking down the hall like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you see him jumping out the window. So for me, I guess it was just... it was okay. I mean, to watch it once would be okay, because there is some cool scenes, like where remember when Freddy got caught on fire? She caught him on fire, and then she goes, "I got him." She goes to look, and you see those fire steps.
Yep,
that is pretty scary, and it goes
absolutely.
It goes all the way up the stairs to his mom's room, and he basically kills his mom at that point, or her mom at that point. So there you have it. That's A Nightmare on Elm Street. So I'd say at least watch it once, but don't put too much faith into it. I mean,
I want to say if you
would have to watch this to enjoy the sequels,
of course, absolutely,
just to get the whole
to know where this came from. But I would also say I stand by what I said before: is like, if you're not a horror movie connoisseur, or if you don't really enjoy horror movies, it's a pass at that point.
Right.
But if you do, check it out at least once.
And to me, I like Jason Voorhees better than I do him. And I even like Michael Myers better. But the scare movies in those movies are jump scares for the most part. Like they go into a cabin and you don't see nothing. They shut the door and he's behind the door with the machete, and you're like, oh man, you know what I mean? And then you got that scary you know what I mean? And it just sets the tone for the movies. So, well, with that being said, this is your chance, ladies. We are actually breaking down. We are taking our man card away for next week. We are going to take and go a totally different direction with a genre we have not touched on in this podcast.
It'll be our first time ever.
We are going with a predominantly ladies film.
Yep.
One of the great love stories, one of the all-time classics, one of your guys' favorites that I've heard screamed from the rafters. Yes, we will be going with the iconic Dirty Dancing with Patrick Swayze. So I know you guys I can hear you squealing already through the podcast. So yeah, we're gonna tackle that next week. Also, we might have Kyle be coming back up doing They Live with Roddy Piper. If you have not seen that science fiction movie, it's fantastic.
Please watch it. Yes.
Oh, it's fantastic. Has one of the best fight scenes.
I love that fight scene.
So those are two movies that you should go ahead and watch so you can know what we're talking about. So I hope you guys look forward to that and enjoy that, because this is mine and Terrence breaking out of our comfort zone because we're going to go with Dirty Dancing. And I just remember as a kid having to sit through some of that stuff, and I just hated it with a passion. So, but we're going to do it justice.
I will say, because of this podcast, I'm actually going to have to watch it through. I've never seen the whole movie through. I never had an interest in it.
Really?
Like there are some like sort of romantic movies or romantic comedies that I've seen all the way through and actually enjoyed. This one I haven't. At least as far as like I haven't seen it. Didn't ever catch my interest enough to be like, hold on, don't change the channel. I know you're
talking about They Live, right? Not Dirty Dancing. So there is some exciting stuff going on. If you're a Patreon supporter, you know what I'm talking about. There is some special stuff going on.
Oh yeah. By the way,
some special sneak stuff that only the Patreons get to see.
I wasn't gonna spoil that, right?
But I'm just
what
saying,
I do want to release is if you do give to our Patreon, you will get access to a secondary Facebook group. It's the secret group,
double secret.
Right? So the double secret group, basically, we'll release a bunch of stuff that's for Patreon only. You get to see a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And we're just putting cool content that will only be available if you're on a Patreon. So if you want to check that out, definitely check out Tragedy of Cinema on Patreon. And we got some cool stuff going on.
Right. So, and those of you that are on there, you already seen something that's pretty cool that's coming. It's not finished yet, but I'm really excited. I showed Terrence, and he was like, "Oh, that's amazing!" So
excited.
Be prepared. I'll release it to the Patreons first once I get the completed project, and then I'll release it a couple days later to everybody else. So we got a couple other things. We might be putting up a post here in a little bit, a poll about on the Patreon Facebook about what movie you would like us to watch along and do commentary on, kind of like this movie where we could talk about it while we watch it. So be on the lookout for that.
We'll probably do that with like Kyle or someone else that we might bring.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll watch the movie and just hit play, and we'll just go to town.
Yeah, just have some fun.
That would be fun to do. They Live.
It would, actually. How long is They Live?
I don't know, but it's still a good movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, maybe the Titanic. Maybe like 4 hours. No, so be on the lookout for that. Also, if you would like to leave us a review on iTunes, that helps us move up in the charts. We're growing. I mean, we are in 14 countries right now and still growing.
Yeah.
Downloads are going up, so we're getting there. But thanks for everybody that supports us and has been supporting us since the beginning. So tell a friend. Let's keep this thing rolling. Also, if you would like to send an email, just talk about what the podcast means to you or whatever, the tragedy of cinema at gmail.com, all one word.
Yep. And we'll read off, we like to read off reviews and stuff. We actually haven't had any new ones in a while.
Right.
We would love to read some stuff at the end of our podcast.
We did have the one by Tim Mullins.
Emails.
I don't know if we're here for The Godfather or not. It might be on the episodes you haven't listened to that you weren't here. So you need to check those out. If you'd like to be a special guest, or if you would like to interview, I know I'm still trying to set up. There was a lady that was going to be here for us for this. She couldn't make it. She was going to try doing No Sleep, and I said,
"That's right." Yeah.
I was like, "Don't worry about it.
Get some sleep."
I was like, "I know Child's Play is one of your favorite movies, so I said we don't even have to wait till we record. I can just call you and we can do an interview like we did Sam for Godfather. So that's what we're going to do for that when she has free time and she's rested and all that.
Sure.
So I didn't want to put her under pressure. We know how it is with lack of sleep.
Yeah.
So you can reach us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Search the Tragedy of Cinema podcast group and Facebook. So with that being said, I believe that this episode is coming to a close, and that's a wrap. And cut.